What business are you really in? Most capital raisers actually think they're in the investment business, but you're not. You're actually in the service business. And trust me, that's good news because the bar for service has never been lower. Every company is now using AI. Everyone has automations, and it's never been more easier to have a polished pitch deck, which means exceptional service is one of the few things that is very difficult to copy. Let me explain. So let me share you a story. A couple weekends ago, I walked into a bar and I was there to order a drink, and I go up to the bar and no one helps me. And I wait there a few minutes, and finally I flagged the bartender down. I said, "Hey, I'd like to order a beer. Can I order a beer?" And he said, "Sure, but what you'll have to do is actually go around the bar and there's a kiosk there and you can order your drink. And once you order your drink, you'll get a notification. Then you can come back to where you're standing now to pick up your beer." And I literally looked at this guy like he had three heads. I'm like, "I'm standing at the bar now. Can you not just turn around and pour me a beer?" And the answer was no. And the point of that story is that yes, everything worked. I got my beer, but it was a terrible experience. And I think that for most industries, service has been automated literally into oblivion. So how do you actually stand out as a capital raiser? Well, you move from being a product-driven business to a service-driven business. And I'm not to say that the product isn't important. I'm just assuming that you have a good product. I'll give you a great example. The difference between KFC and Chick-fil-A. And one has built a business around a product, chicken, and one has built a business around service. Clearly, we know that Chick-fil-A has a great product. Their chicken sandwiches are great. Their sauce is amazing, right? But their service is what stands out, and it's evident that from both of the growth of these companies, that the business that is built around service is clearly winning. And capital raising works the same way. Yes, it's important that you have a good product and that it's protecting and growing capital, but investors are not going to remember your portal. They're going to remember the way that you make them feel. So what does this actually look like to operate as a service business? Well, I want to give you a couple examples of what we're doing here at Aspen Funds and how this has totally transformed our business and has helped us go from being a company that on average had raised $40 or $50 million a year to last year we raised more than $150 million in 1 year. So one of the first things we did at Aspen is we gave everyone on our investor relations team permission to actually care for the client, which means that anyone on our team can at any time for any client spend up to $250 to make the experience better. And so what this means, any person on our team who is interacting with the client and hears a complaint, or they hear even something about their life that, would make their experience better. Maybe they have a kid graduating, or maybe they just experienced the death of a family member and they've the radar goes off. Oh man, I know how to improve this experience. I want the ability to show this client that we care more than just their investment. I can take the initiative to go spend $250 to show that we care. Or if they're dissatisfied with the experience right now and there's something that we can do to make it better, they have the ability to spend $250 to make that experience better. And so that one little act has created ownership across our entire department around this idea of being in the service business and really creating an exceptional experience for our clients. The second thing to really become a service-centric business is think about serving the client and not yourself. This is one of my biggest pet peeves right now because it feels like in this world of AI, in this world of automation, is that companies and service industries are trying to create an experience that serves themselves, meaning I want to automate the work. And we forget to put ourselves in the shoes of the client. Most companies automate to make things more convenient for themselves. We want to make things more convenient for the clients. For example, one of the biggest hurdles in capital raising is the subscription document process. And what I see most companies doing is going to some type of portal for, to automate this process, both for them and for the client. But the client still then has to go fill out 30 pages of documents via this portal. So we just asked a simple question. What's the one thing that we can do to make this experience much easier and much faster for the client? And so we actually begin to take on the process of filling out the subscription documents. And you might say, well, that sounds like a real inconvenience to your team, Ellis. And I would say that is the whole point. We are okay for it to become an inconvenience to us so that it can become more convenient for the client. And this decision paid off for us. When I got here at Aspen, the average time it took for an investor to commit to fund was over 40 days. And in last quarter, we actually were able to get that number down to 5 days. That's the difference between providing a service and actually being in the service business. The third thing that you can do to really create a service-centric business is optimize for human interaction. And listen, I love AI. I think it's an incredible tool. I think it's amazing for administrative work and meeting notes and maybe even helping with some of the subscription process. But AI technology, let's say, should not remove the human element. In our business, we think the human interaction is part of the process. It's what creates a great experience. When you go sit down in a nice restaurant and you open up the wine menu and you have a sommelier come over and tell you about these wines, that's part of the experience, right? And so when you think about your, client experience, speed, yes, is key, but think about the human interaction as being part of the service. It's something that we want to continue to provide. It's what we want to optimize for, not take away. So how do you know if this is actually working in your business? And the answer is simple. Has someone shared your product with someone else? Referrals are the ultimate KPI in the service business. And this just makes sense, right? When you experience something that you love, what is the best thing that you can do? Or what is the highest level of praise? It's sharing it with someone else. And so if you're doing this correctly, you are going to create a referral generating machine. So in a world where everyone has AI, the best companies, in my opinion, won't have the best technology. They're going to create the best experience for their clients. And in the world of capital raising, where you're working with high net worth investors, I think this is the ultimate thing to optimize for if you're serious about growing. To drive this point home one last time, let me just give you a final learning over the last 10 years in raising money, and that what I have found in investors that continue to work with us are typically not the investors who got the highest amount of yield or the highest, return on their investment. It's the investors that had a great experience that become super fans of our company. And the reason that is because they remember not just the product, but more importantly, they remember how you made them feel. Hey, if you're a capital raiser or fund manager and you have the ability to raise more than $1 million for a single offering, I want to invite you to go to aspenfunds.us/fund manager to learn more about our fund manager program and how you can partner with Aspen Funds on future deals.